Hello, my name is Kerry Proctor from Microchannel, and thank you for downloading and setting up your Business Central trial edition. What I'd like to do is spend a few moments and run through and give you some suggestions, some ideas, some tips of areas that might make your review that much easier or that much faster, and some ideas that you can take on board should you wish to do so. So let's jump into the application. When you run up your Business Central trial, I'll call it BC if you may, it's a little less of a mouthful, it will load you up onto a dashboard. And a couple of things to point out here before I run through the navigation. The first one at the top up here, it says want more, start a free 30-day trial. I suggest leave that for the moment. Microsoft have put together in here a sample company. It has a chart of accounts, it has inventory items, customers, etc. And you can play around with this and actually post some transactions through and see the outcomes and see how it's set up. So work with this version first. If you wish to take it further, certainly try the unlocked one and put your own company data in, but get some basic understanding first. Now, the key thing on this one here is that there are dashboards that come up depending on the role, and I'll point that out to you as we go through. But all these dashboards can be changed, they can be configured, you can personalize them. So don't take too much notice of what's on here on the sample company. There will be some variations. You can tailor this to your own preference. So a couple of ways of navigating. I'm going to show you 3 ways to navigate that might speed things up for you. First one, you can actually come up here to the top of the screen, and any of these functional areas, if you click on the down button, under sales, I can have a look at inventory items, customers, sales orders, sales invoices, etc. I can just move through accordingly. So this is a simple way of navigating here. The second option I'll point out to you is under here. And if I click on this, this will now go away and give me a different way of viewing Business Central. Now this can be actually expanded a lot more. I won't do that here, but a lot of the functional areas are here in one screen, which gives you a very good visualization to address things. The third area where you can use this, and this is probably the most common, is if I look for this looking glass up here, magnifying glass, then click on that and type in what you'd like to know. So if I want to know more about invoice, I can enter that in, and it's now bringing me up. It's doing a bit of a wild search: sales invoices, purchase invoices, etc., purchases, payments, and then you can select where you want to go. So use the magnifying glass to look around, and that's quite handy and useful. Second area I'd like to show to you is under this little icon up here under settings, and I believe I've probably done this already, but I'll check my settings here. This does a couple of things. So as I mentioned before, when you log on, depending on the role you've got, you have a different dashboards. So as you're using the application, feel free to change the role. And Microsoft in the sample company have got lots of different roles. So you may want to go in as a finance person or sales and marketing, etc. I'm going to leave it back at the same one, but you can change that. Second area that I changed in here, you can change region and language. My recollection is it defaults in the sample company to US English. I've changed this to Australian English, and I suspect it also changes the date formats around. So if you prefer day, month, year, I think this is where that gets changed. So have a look at those areas in there as well. I will also point out under here, under settings, there is personalize, and I'll mention this because it'll come a little bit more interesting later on. I'm going to say clear all personalizations just to show you what I've previously done. Oops, let me try that again. Personalize. I'll do it this way. These dashboards here, notice how I've got this detail. I can actually come into this dashboard and I can say hide or move. Okay, so I've already done some of this. Now I'm done. And I'm just pointing that out because this is how they can be tailored to add various details or remove them. And certainly later on when I show you something else, I can show you how you can do that at a much more detailed level. So be aware of that one there. Third aspect I think is quite handy when you're doing a review is come in, click on the question mark, help and support, and then come over to help down here. And I think when you're doing initial review, it's good to have this open because this is a browser-based application. You can flick between the online help and Business Central at the same time. And if you really like to, I suggest download this PDF. That's down the bottom left-hand corner on that help. And this will then give you online help plus an 1800 page document that you can go and search through as well. It also has scenarios in there, so it's worthwhile having. In the meantime, I can go back to Business Central. So go to help, open that up in the background, use that for your navigation, and also open up that PDF, and I think it gives you the information at your fingertips quite nicely. The fourth suggestion I have for you as you're moving through this, let me just bring this back up again, is if I go into any of the ledgers, and I'm just going to select items for this one, and I'm looking at my inventory items here. This initially, I think, defaults to a visual view with tall tiles. For some clients, that'll be excellent. Personally, I prefer the just a list. It doesn't really matter. And what you can do, if you remember I did that personalization before, you can personalize these columns, but I'll use the default ones for here. And it's worthwhile being aware that having highlighted this list, I can go Page, Open in Excel. I will save and open. And I think it's kind of handy to go through some of the key ledgers. Drop out the master files into a spreadsheet. You can put them in different worksheets. And from now on, whilst I can search for these, I do have a lot more detail I can start to go through and review. And this will give me a bit more detail. So let's have a look what we've got down here. This is telling me this item here has an item substitution. So if I wanted to check out item substitutions, I can go ahead now and use that inventory item. Is there a bill of materials, etc.? So you can default your master detail here and certainly help on your review. So with that, that's my summary. I will now move back to here, back to the master. So in summary, feel free to export out the data so you've got some master files to deal with and you know what items have inventory, customers that have balances, etc. Feel free to do some transactions. Look at your navigation from this perspective, top of the screen, the dashboard, and also the looking glass. And just bear in mind the configuration details that you may want to review and consider, particularly if date formats and the like are a little bit different. So hopefully that fast tracks. I always recommend this as a sample company, and sample companies are simply that. The ways that systems can be set up, configured, which may not be evident. Please make a list of your questions, even if you can't see how something can be done. And at Microchannel, we're happy to review that with you and give you a yay, nay, or this is how that is actually addressed in the application, and support you on your review. So on behalf of Microchannel, thank you very much, and all the best with your Business Central review. Thank you.